No! Greetings, everyone. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you are here. We are playing Magic Arena, as always. Love that Magic the Gathering, and just can't get away from it. Here we are playing a little bit of a wild and crazy brew, and it is because an angry milkman from our Twitch channel, John Likes Games at twitch.tv/JohnLikesGames, has cashed in a bunch of channel points to get us to play a stipulation. This deck actually, though, absolutely crushed it. Normally, I play stipulations in the play queue, and I will be today as well, but I'm just saying, you're going to see all the games. Because there isn't any, like, it just laid down the law. So had some issues in recording, so I had to come back and do some of this stuff, but darn it, I am really looking forward to showing you these games. Good lord. What are we doing, though? Well, the stipulation was Necroduality, Anointed Procession. What does Necroduality do? Whenever a non-token zombie enters, create a token that's a copy of that creature. And then Anointed Procession says, if in effect we create one or more tokens, it creates twice that many instead. So, we're like, trying to take advantage of the tokens, and we're trying to take advantage of the Necroduality, which means we have all non-token creatures in the list, but we have several creatures that also make tokens. Diregraf Colossus. When it enters, it gets a 1/1 counter on it for each zombie in your graveyard. When you cast a zombie, create a tap 2/2, which of course would be 2 tap 2/2s. Headless Rider. Whenever Headless Rider or another non-token zombie dies, create a 2/2, which of course would be 2 2/2s. Then we're giving them all +1/+1 Death Touch. Jadar says at the beginning of your end step, if you control no creatures with Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. Okay, so we create 2 2/2s with Decayed, right? Then, of course, some of the secret sauce here, folks. Corpse Knight, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life, is a zombie. And Wayward Servant is a zombie. And whenever another zombie enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life, you gain a life. So this one doesn't gain us the life, but this one does. Either way, it doesn't really matter. The point is, we're going to get a bunch of things entering the battlefield, and our opponent's going to die. If we can't manage that, we've got Champion of the Perished. Whenever another zombie enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1 counter on it. So, this doesn't say non-token. We have a bunch of zombies enter, token, or counter. Champion of the Perished can become an 8/8 in no time, or whatever, you know? And Cryptbreaker says we can tap 3 untapped zombies and draw a card, lose a life. So, these zombies enter, we can tap them, draw a bunch of cards, and hopefully get to our stuff. Do we have anything, you know, large and in charge up here? No. Nope, not at all. We're just running our conventional 24 lands because we do want to get to 4 mana, but we don't really need to do anything past that. So, without further ado, let's go wreck some noobs. Alright, folks, here we are up against Balls McCossum. Good luck, Balls McCossum. And, yeah, we're going to go ahead and keep this. Going to go with Forest for our opponent, and we're just going to slam a Godless Shrine tapped. We don't have any 1-drops anyway, so it's not a big deal. Planning on following up with Isolated Chapel, thinking about Jadar or Wayward Servant, trying to decide, and we decide to go with the Jadar because our opponent's playing mono black so far at least, and it's likely they have removal. So, if they do have removal, that's unfortunate, but our Jadar is less important than the Corpse Knight or Wayward Servant, so fine. If they do not have removal, we can suicide this 2/2 in, and when we get down whatever other creature, we can just keep making these 2/2s, right? So that is good. We do elect to just slam a Diregraf Colossus since our opponent didn't represent removal there. We decide, what the heck? Why even bother with the charade? We don't need to have... Oh, darn it. Opponent go blanks us. That is vicious. We really wanted to make that Anointed Procession show up, but we couldn't justify keeping that given the context of the situation. So our opponent now kind of having a little bit of an advantage there. But fine. Balls McCossum. You got to do what you got to do. Decides to pass the turn. Oh, hold on just a darn minute, folks. Death Baron is a strong one. Giving our Decayed creatures Death Touch means essentially unblockable. Admittedly, they can't block either, so it's not a big deal. But we elect to go the greedy route, naturally, because, you know, it's me. and just slam another Diregraf Colossus. Again, why bother with the charade of making our decayed creature die and just to get another one or whatever? Like, I don't know. Yeah, we don't need any of that. Just, it's fine. Just don't worry about it. Opponent goes with Sorin the Mirthless. This is a very, very stoic individual. Oh boy, that's a good one. All of these things are good. We really want to just Death Baron here so that we can start crashing in with all these 2/2 zombies. But darn it, Champion of the Parish is such a sweet synergy when we've already got 2 Diregraf Colossi down, and we could follow it up with the Corpse Knight. We decide we're not... Let's not get too greedy here. There are 3/3 death touches, and there's a Sorin the Mirthless over there, and that Sorin the Mirthless is scary. So we try and decide what to do, and we decide, you know what, actually, the Sorin, I think we can leave that. Because our opponent now has to trade with the Diregraf Colossus here, I think. And they do, which is unsurprising. But they're taking 9, down to 11. A little decayed happening, but we get that decayed creature back. And the Corpse Knight Wayward Servant still looming, right? That's scary. Our opponent must have removal spell for Death Baron here. But even if they do, holy crud, we've got just a lot going on here, you know? Sorin the Mirthless decides to go up. You gonna pay that life? They do, just one of it, but it's a Thoughtseize. Fine. You gonna hit us with that Thoughtseize? Pay a couple of life? Nope, but it is a Murderous Rider going to kill our Death Baron. Not thrilled about it. They drop to 8, though. Math? Math? Hold on. Wait just a darn minute here. Attack with a bunch of 2/2s. Champion of the Parish, Wayward Servant. Opponent does have Blood Chief's Thirst for our Jadar. Inconvenient. But, you know, Corpse Knight. Each opponent loses a life whenever a zombie enters. Diregraf Colossus having a zombie enter. Champion of the Parish being a zombie. We're going to crash in for 10 damage. Our opponent's going to eat a Diregraf Colossus and gain 2 life. But 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 minus 8. Not great at math. I believe that's 0. GG, Ballsman Cosm. GG. Alright, folks. Here we are up against Borgin. Good luck, Borgin. I wonder if they also own Burks. Hey, okay. Raffine's Tower, a little bit awkward oftentimes on 1 when we have 1 drops we want to cast, but it actually works out because this hand was awkward. The Drowned Catacombs being all tapped lands was just making things complicated. So we just go Champion of the Parish off of Drowned Catacomb, and of course, last turn's Raffine Tower. Borgin on Bant mana so far. Went with Leafkin Druid last turn into Risen Reef this turn, finds a red mana. 4 color elementals, it appears. Alright, fine. We get, though, Champion of the Parish off the top. Trying to decide how to go about it. Is it supposed to be Headless Rider or that Champion of the Parish? We decide ultimately on Champion of the Parish, but I goofed. I was supposed to be Raffine's Tower, probably. I was thinking let's hold it back and cycle, but we also have a lot of things to do, so we want to be able to, you know, deploy our things. Opponent does come up with Omnath Locus of the Royal, which kills our biggest Champion of the Parish. Of course, we were able to crash in for 5 last turn, but this turn looking like we're going to be stonewalled just a bit. Oh boy, well, okay. We're living that life, folks. Slam a Necroduality. No, Champion of the Parish don't grow. But the next couple of turns are going to be real interesting. Opponent has an Omnath Locust of Creation. This one does not kill our creatures, thankfully. But Borgin is getting a lot of value off of these elementals. Lotus Cobra joins the party as well. They're currently tapped out, but, you know, there are definitely other options to be, that they might avail themselves to. Omnath Locust of the Royal, going to put a counter on itself, going up to a 5/5. Lotus Cobra going to add a green mana. Of course, they played a Dark Channel Pathway on green. Lotus Cobra number 2 joining the party. Well, shoot, folks. I only know one way to live my life, and that's greedy. So we jam Anointed Procession that we pull off the top here. So now we're holding 2 Headless Riders. We have a 2-1 and a 1-1 on the board. Our opponent's just going off with elementals, and, you know, we know darn well that was just greed. There was no reason I was supposed to jam an Anointed Procession this turn. But the stipulation was Necroduality, Anointed Procession, so... You know... Just want to have fun, darn it. Our opponent jams that Genesis Ultimatum. Gets just a whole host of cards, a whole host of things. Ends up keeping one of the Lotus of Creations. Lotus Cobras, third joins the party. Some lands make it to the battlefield as well. Omnath Locust of the Royal, going to do a whole bunch of things. Omnath Locust of Creation, going to do a whole bunch of things. Just infinite number of things. Mana being added. Landfall triggers adding mana. More mana, more mana, more mana. Holy cow, folks. Just holy cow. Counters being placed on Omnath. Landfall triggers going crazy. Up to 16, 17 mana available. And about 400 cards in hand. Well, we're not surprised. One of them is a Genesis Ultimatum. And that's the second Genesis Ultimatum of this turn. Okay, well, fine. Omnath doing its thing. More counters, doing things, doing things. Yes, 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 yes. The unfortunate thing, folks, is the new Omnath Locust of the Royal is going to point damage directly at our face due to the number, or accounting for the number of elementals they control. They have a lot of elementals, folks. Counters being placed around in crazy places. Lotus Cobra triggers, just getting mana, just getting mana, just getting mana. Cavalier of Thorns going to get more mana. Mill over a bunch of really big, powerful things. Of course, that means more Lotus Cobra triggers. That means more Omnath triggers. You know, our opponent living their best life over there. No question about it. 9 green, 5 red, 3 blue. Our Boreal Grazer going to add more mana. Going to do more card drawing. Folks, Omnath Locust of the Royal just absolutely going off just as much as the Omnath Locust of Creation is. Unfortunately, they're both going off at the same time. That'll happen when you cast more than one Genesis Ultimatum in a turn, as it turns out. Well, then our opponent has Ugin the Spirit Dragon. X equals 1. Gets our creatures and swings in for lethal. Darn it! I just wanted a Anointed Procession Necroduality. Oh well. Greed will get you sometimes. Greed will get you. GG, opponent. GG. Alright, folks. Here we are up against Lazy Bacon. Good luck, Lazy Bacon. Yeah. This hand is interesting. No 1-drop. And our 1-drops are really good. I think it's fine. Going to start Watery Grave tapped. No big deal. We do have Brightclimb Pathway coming up. So no big deal there either. Opponent goes with Forest into Hinterland Harbor. Druid class coming down for our opponent. Interesting. Hey, there's the 1-drop we wanted. Darn it. We briefly debate going with Jadar or Wayward Servant. End up with Wayward Servant just for, you know, the fact that we'd like to drain our opponent a little bit. Hold on just a darn minute. Our opponent's cultivating. Oh, no. Is this more Genesis Ultimatum? We just saw this stuff, darn it. All right. Well, maybe I learned a lesson, though. Maybe we won't be as greedy this time. Opponent goes with an island and a mountain to hand. Gains a couple of life up to 22. Inconvenient. So we decide, let's shock in. Go with another Wayward Servant. Yep. Little life gain, little life lost, and Cryptbreaker. Little life gain, little life lost. And we try to debate if we're supposed to attack. Is doing 2 damage to them more important? Or drawing a card more important? And we decide that drawing the card is actually more important here because we do need to make sure we get land drops and things. It doesn't really matter for this upcoming turn. Like, we could miss this land drop and it wouldn't be the end of the world. Because we don't even have the ability to double spell either way. Oh, crud. Shadow Torch Defiance. That's not great. Okay. Comes down. Goes up for mana. And gonna kill something? They do. Bone Crusher Giant on our Wayward Servant. Well, in response, we will draw cards, lose lives. Inconvenient. But it is what it is. Okay, so we do get the mana. It is a Watery Grave, so it's kind of nice that we don't have to pay life for it. And we get another land. That's actually really good here, folks. Because that means that next turn, we theoretically, anyway, could Jadar and a 3-drop. So we go with Headless Rider here. Drain our opponent. And we briefly debate drawing a card again, but then we think, no, because if they sweep the board here, which they might, the Chandra, you know, being able to stick around a little longer and things, that could produce a really, really awkward situation. So we're going to knock Chandra down to 2. That way it also, because they could down-tick Chandra on a Headless Rider, then sweep the board, and we get nothing, right? And then Chandra would still be around. So this way, they can't down-tick Chandra. If they have a sweeper, fine, but they've got to do things, right? So opponent plays the Bone Crusher Giant. Goes up for mana. And does not spend it. Interesting. Well. Awkward. Trying to decide how to go about this. And we decide it's just got to be Headless Rider. Unfortunately. Going to drain our opponent. Going to send Headless Rider, just Headless Rider, at Chandra. If they want to trade, fine. They do. That's okay, because we do get some replacement zombies here. So if they have another sweeper, we're feeling a little chagrined. Or if they do have a sweeper, like Anger the Gods or something. But we do get to follow it up with Jadar, and opponents kind of got drained in earnest here. Yes, they've gained some life from the Druid class and things, so they're not way down in life, but 17 is a lot closer to 0 than what they were, or they would have been otherwise. So not too sad about that, but the Genesis Ultimatum, please. Please. Oh my goodness, sure. Okay, well, good. They do get several lands, which is going to get them several life. They do get an Arboreal Grazer, so they can put land from the battlefield on the or lands from their hand on the battlefield if they want to, which they do. Which gains them even more life, back up to 20. But, notably, they didn't hit like an Ugin or anything. So we're very, very happy about that. Opponent tries to pass. Fine. We go to their end step. We're going to draw. And then we're going to draw again. You want to get a bunch of card advantage, opponent, with Genesis Ultimatum? Well, we're going to get a bunch of card advantage with Cryptbreaker. We drop to 20. They go to 20, or 21. Our opponent goes to 20, then down to 19. We're trying to decide how to go about this. And we don't want to overcommit here. But we also don't want to just lose the game because we were too cowardly. Right? And not willing to commit at all. So we decide, you know what? Ignore Chandra. Who cares about Chandra? And our opponent blocks our biggest power creature, which is Headless Rider. They drop to 9. Decayed happens. Creature goes away. But you know what? Let's just do it. Diregraf Colossus is going to make a dude. Wayward Servant going to drain. Wayward Servant going to drain. Jadar does the thing. If they have specifically Anger the Gods, this, you know, our life stinks. If they don't have specifically Anger the Gods, we feel pretty good about this. All right, Cryptbreaker. Going to tap our 3 untapped zombies. Draw another card. Hopefully it's action. No, it's another land. That's not ideal. But we get 5 2/2s. I'm not great at math. But 5 times 2 is greater than 6, I believe. Lazy Bacon casts Cultivate. That does not address the board. Druid class gains a life, but 6 plus 1 is only 7. Okay, make another land drop. 6 plus 8. Or 6 plus 1 is 8. Aha! Okay, folks. Gotcha, Lazy Bacon. Gotcha. Alright, folks, here we are up against GTO 26. Good luck, GTO 26. And yeah, I think this hand is pretty reasonable. The mana in Esper is always just a little bit awkward. The Raffine's Tower really, really helps things a lot, but it is a tap land. So as much as we want to be aggressive and get down 1-drops on 1 and all that kind of thing, you know, it's not always afforded us that opportunity. Opponent goes with Plains on 1, Plains on 2, passes. So we're staring down 2 untapped white mana over there, going, what on earth are they up to? Well, I'm not sure, but let's go with Wayward Servant and find out. Opponent. Your go. They elect not to interact. Should they have had the opportunity? We're unsure. Illuminator Virtuoso. This is scary. I feel compelled to ask very, very nicely, GTO, please don't kill us. Because that card is scary. Opponent leaving up 1 mana means even if we had an interaction spell, it is unlikely it would have mattered. Right? Because they're very likely to be able to give it protection from or indestructible or something. So, Arrester's Zeal. Illuminator Virtuoso gets flying. Becomes a 4/4 from Conniving. Arrester's Zeal connives some more. Becomes a 7/7. Arrester's Zeal? Connives some more? Becomes a 10/10? Really? We asked nicely. Good heavens. GG, GTO, GG. You got us. Alright, folks. Math Crab. Our next opponent. This is weird, but not bad. I mean, 1-drop, 1-drop, 1-drop is good, and the fact that 1-drop, 1-drop, 1-drop can, like, draw us cards potentially is also good. I mean, it's questionable, to be sure, whether we're supposed to go with Cryptbreaker, 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 or Cryptbreaker, Corpse Knight. Opponent goes with Blooming Marsh, Gilded Goose, though. Does that inform our decision at all? Interesting. Champion of the Perished makes things real interesting here. Alright, so we decide land, untapped, and yeah, we're just going to Champion of the Perished then. Get down on the Cryptbreaker, and pass. Definitely planning on drawing a card here because our opponent just could have ate the, or just had the Cryptbreaker bounce off, so the attack was meaningless anyway. Opponent goes with a Rotting Regisaur, though. That is not great. No! I goofed pretty bad there, and don't get to draw the card. I am beating myself up pretty hard right now about that, because I clicked one too many times, and that's vicious. We do have a Diregraf Colossus now, which is fine. No attacks. Man. Serious bummer. Opponent has to discard a card. It is a Feasting Troll King, which we are surprised to see. Haven't seen that card in kind of a while. But a Witch's Oven shows up. Is our opponent playing Sultai Food? Alright, opponent does not attack. Well, folks, we are very, very careful about the number of times we click this time. And Cryptbreaker. Going to draw us a card and loses life. Down to 17. We get another Corpse Knight, though. Oh, boy. That's a good one. Diregraf Colossus. Going to grow the Champion of the Perished. Corpse Knight. Going to grow the Champion of the Perished. And we decide not to pay life here and just go with the Cryptbreaker. Because we're also afraid our opponent might be doing some fighting stuff or something. And, you know, we can't grow our Champion of the Perished beyond a 7/7 anyway. So if they elect to fight, it could be potentially not great for us. Math Crab discards a Watery Grave. Shocks an Overgrown Tomb. For Fae of Wishes? Please tell me it's not a board sweeper. It is. Bantu's Last Reckoning. Okay, again, very carefully. Not going to draw the wrong thing here, or forgo our draw here, because we need to draw into something like, you guessed it, folks, Headless Rider off the top. Don't mind if I do. A second Headless Rider? Sign me up. All right, land drop. Corpse Knight. Make a dude. Grow the Champion of the Perished. Opponent lose a little life. Champion of the Perished grow. Opponent lose a little life. Headless Rider, make a dude. Opponent lose a little life, champion of the parish grow, and our opponent realizes as soon as they sweep the board with that Bantu's Last Reckoning, they're essentially tapped out. It takes their whole turn. And we are going to make 1,000,000 2/2s. Because remember, when a non-token creature dies, we get the 2/2s. So GG, Math Crab, GG. Alright, folks, here we are up against Burst. Good luck, Burst. And yeah, this hand looks keepable. A little slow, but it's got Anointed Procession, it's got Necroduality. Darn it, we're going to get this thing to work. So far, we're just winning lots of games, primarily because, darn it, zombies are strong. And really, really want this thing to go off. But Champion of the Perished, Cryptbreaker, going to show up while our opponent's on Glacial Floodplain and a Plains. No counter spells from our opponent, so they go to a Deserted Beach. Now they have 3 untapped mana. So they can be counterspelling, they can be doing things, but they haven't foretold anything, so we're not worried about Doomscar just yet. It is possible they're going to be doing, like, Wrath of God style things next turn. But we could do 4 damage. Since our opponent is definitely threatening board sweepers and stuff, we decide it's better to draw cards. They run out Valkmira Protector's Shield here. Little bit strange. We get a land. Not what we wanted, but oh boy, Death Baron is definitely what we wanted. We are going to slam a Necroduality here. And do we get in? Yeah, what the heck? Let's do it. Admittedly, the Cryptbreaker didn't really need to attack because Valkmira prevents one of the damage. So they only take 4 damage total rather than 7. But that's okay. That is okay. Opponent counting our lands. And seeing what colors we have. Oh boy. Folks, we were just going to jam a Death Baron here. I was literally chanting to myself the mantra of don't be greedy, don't be greedy, don't be greedy. And then we pull a Champion of the Perished off the top. So we were going to be able to Anointed Procession, Necroduality, do it all. And our opponent naturally is a soulless and corrupt, horrifyingly terrible human. No, it's just they have a counterspell and it makes me sad inside. Burst counterspelling our Anointed Procession. Unfortunate. But we are going to be able to cast a Champion of the Parish and it will resolve. So we will crash in with Headless Hunter or Headless Rider and Champion of the Perished. Our opponent going to take a good chunk, but not infinite. It's going to be 6 because again, Valkmira Protector Shield going to protect a lot of damage. And we are somehow down to 13. We have paid a lot of life and lost a bunch of life via other means, like the Cryptbreaker and things. And we're going to continue. Like, we're going to draw another card this turn. Rain or shine, that's going to happen. Of course, we don't want to see... Oh, come on, Rydane! Going to deny us another Anointed Procession. I swear, sometimes opponents just don't want to see any fun, you know? Could also just be I'm just supremely salty right now. But... you know, we'll never know. Oh, well. Our Anointed Procession costing 6 is dreadfully unfortunate. Really, really wanted to get a Death Baron token and make another Death Baron token because of the Anointed Procession. But we're going to have to sate ourselves with Death Baron making a copy of Death Baron and killing Burst instead. So GG Burst. All right, folks, we are back. We are back. And honestly, the deck wrecked. I showed you all the games. I showed you every game. It just disciplined our opponents in earnest, early and often. How might I change this deck if it wasn't a deck stipulation? Well, I think we would go down to like 3 and 3 or something, maybe even just like 3 and 2. Because there's no guarantee we're going to get here reliably, and it is a little bit awkward when you draw a bunch of these and you don't get the whatever, you know, you don't have enough creatures to spend on them. So I think we would do like that, and then maybe cut something else. But the Headless Rider overperformed. This was arguably the best card in the deck for what we were trying to accomplish here. And then the Blade Stiff Scab. Oh, darn it. Darn it. There we go. Blade Stitch Scab. Other zombies you control get +1/+0. We omitted this from the original list just because we didn't have space because of the stipulation here. I think we want to do at least like this. It is possible the deck gets even better if we do more. So maybe like this and cut a couple of Corpse Knights. So maybe like that it would be better. The way our current build was, we were heavy on the splash, and it wasn't, you know, we didn't need to be quite as heavy on the blue sources. But I think this would be fine, because we still don't need a ton of blue sources. So then if we did this, I think we also, since now we're less 4-drops, I think we could also come down like 1, 2 maybe, go to 22, and then, but I don't think we want to go on actually 22 lands. I think we would want to be Hagra. Oh, darn it. Didn't need that extra H there. Hagra Mauling. And just go like this, I think. So I think this would be my list going forward, but honestly, I would not mind even taking this in the rank queue and stuff. I think that it was a lot of fun to play, but honestly, it was pretty good too, all things considered. I really did not lament any of the decisions we made, and it turned out to be quite strong, all things considered. So as far as other changes we might make, I don't know. We might consider more 1-drops just for being more aggressive in this style strategy, you know, since we're so heavily in the 1, 2s, and 3s. Being able to get on the board earlier is better, but we also need to have spells to cast after Necroduality anyway. So I think if your plan is going to be Anointed Procession, Necroduality, I think we could stay like this, right? But as far as the stip goes, I think it was fine. So we had a blast. Would encourage you to build it. Even the previous version, it would have been fine. So that said, I appreciate everybody who watched. If you too would like to have a stipulation made, come on over to the Twitch channel. Just hang out for a while. You don't have to pay any money or anything like that. Just hang out and watch, and you'll eventually get there on the channel points required. I would also like to say, for any of you who watched, I appreciate you. And if you're unsubscribed, please consider subscribing. It really, really helps the channel. Really trying to get to that monetization mark. And it's been a grind. It's been a battle. So really encourage you to please do that. It would help a lot. That said, I appreciate you, and you have a fantastic day.